we technically don't have quorum, so we can't, you know,
Can't
really conduct business, but I don't, you know, if we want to touch on a few things for, you know, the sake of hitting highlights and whatnot, obviously we can't approve meeting minutes and things like that, but we can certainly chat, so.
Right, I can at least do an update, seeing as so I'll call the meeting to order first. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start with Tim. I have not met you, and I should have introduced myself before. I'm Patty Boy Williams. I'm the chair of the committee for at least the next month. Hopefully it continues past the first. Are you joining us I know Kate had mentioned that you were, as someone she suggested as someone who might be interested in joining the committee. Is that what you're?
That's exactly why I'm here. I have quite a few issues that I'm interested in and that I've shared with Kate. We're pretty much on the same page for some of the items that should be emphasized here in town, or hopefully get emphasized.
That's great. We love having more people on the committee. We have vacancies, and so we'd be happy to have you. And so welcome, and
thank you.
The purpose of let's see, we're going to skip, we don't have presentations, we'll skip over administrative. So then the purpose of tonight's meeting is really to move through to get an update on some of the items we've discussed before. So the anti-idling and where we are with waste reduction, then talk about the sustainable CT goal is really going back to our last meeting and brainstorming about next year, but with a lot of the committee not here, I can provide some updates on where we're at, but I think we'll probably have to set the agenda in January instead. So starting with the public education goal, anti-idling, I know there's an update, but I'll let Sam share it with Kate and Jennifer.
With his hat in hand. So I did go and get feedback from the principals after our last meeting. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I hadn't thought of the concerns that they brought up. But number one being the transportation issues that we've had this year have parents very much on edge. And the feeling was that kind of throwing the signs up right now is just, it's bad timing, I guess is just the way I'd put it. The second concern with the timing of it is that, we're really, by the time we would even get these signs up, we're into winter. Probably not the most ideal time to ask people to turn off their cars when just as it's getting cold. And then really the third piece was around, I think the way we prefer to do it would be to involve students in it. So it's something more than just kind of the plain sign that you see. That certainly could work for, and I saw the email chain about the DEP giving signs. So I guess the way that I'd like to proceed or suggest that we proceed would be to get the free signs from DEP for the service entries. And then really start to move, I guess, on that, incorporating it into the curriculum part and see if we can engage students to come up with the signage that would be more, I guess, forefront.
On the free signs comment, free signs, I was looking at that yesterday. It appears to be an old post from Deep with the free signs, and the sign itself seems to match the one we already have. So it might be
with spelling error and all.
I didn't notice that part, but perhaps, I didn't. So I don't know if we've already taken. No. Town's already taken advantage of it.
No, we haven't. I put that out there just to see if everybody wants me to move forward with it. So, Sam, I agree. There needs to be education around it. That's why I sent the information about the education program that they're offering, and they have a book. And actually, wildly, I reached out to this woman, I don't even know when I sent you guys that information. It was a long time ago, it seems like. And she called me this morning and said, yes, we could get copies of the book that they have. that also has a teaching unit for the teachers. And she just wanted to know how many we wanted. So I left her a message saying, well, how many can we get? You know, because and then also what's the age appropriateness for the book? And so who are we targeting? And, you know, I don't know if you had a chance to look through the ideas that they had around setting up a pre-program kind of survey where you know, some of us go to the different properties during the pickup time and just really see how many people are actually sitting there idling, you know, kind of collecting data. Then you do your education piece of it, some, you know, in the schools, and, you know, if we have a forum, you know, that's a Zoom thing, or whether we just do an article, whatever it is that we're going to do education wise. And then you do a post survey, seeing how many people are still doing the idling. But, you know, it's funny. I don't know, this idea that it's too much to ask parents to turn their car off. I don't know.
I don't think it's necessarily that it's too much to ask. I think the presentation, particularly with the sign that we were looking at, but that it would be, we're already in a lot of instances, parents are picking up that weren't before, just due to the transportation issues that we've had with the buses, that it would be just kind of, I guess, too in the face. And so, I don't know, the feedback that I got was that it would be great to engage students first, and then have them have some input as well, as far as, you know, what the signage looks like, and go that way.
In terms of engaging students first, how would we, I mean, we're not teachers. We can't tell the teachers what to teach. So
No.
how would we go about that?
No, not us in particular, but through the principals, through the curriculum, basically go seek that input. And there's a lot of groups that would be interested in that kind of thing. I haven't had experience with it, but my understanding is there's been similar efforts before that have worked out fine. So that's where it is.
And on the Shannon did give me the heads up about the transportation issue. My immediate response was, well, what if we were to put something in the newsletter first and just kind of caveat that, you know, when you show up at school 30 minutes before you're supposed to pick your kid up from their soccer game, how about we turn the car engine off? So, I mean, because to me, that the bigger, I mean, I understand the transportation and that people are coming and picking up their kids and not happy. And goodness knows I've been participating in conference calls in pickup lines, and I want my car on so I can use the car Bluetooth speakers. But at the same time, I think some of the bigger offenders are the folks who show up 20, 30 minutes early and leave the car on the whole time. So.
Well, and I think, Patty, we had discussed that perhaps it's the, you know, maybe dial it back with respect to the pickup, because you are kind of constantly, unless you're a parent, as we had discussed, that is showing up because they wanted to be first in line because they have to have their child out to another event or an appointment or whatever. And so that they are there 20 minutes before the kids are even dismissed. But for the most part, that pickup line is an actively moving line. And so maybe for the interim, shift the focus to pickups for the after school activities, for clubs, etc. When we all know, you know, Johnny or Susie, you know, the teacher says, okay, you got to be there at 4 o'clock because we end promptly at 4. Well, they end at 4 in the far back corner of the school, and it takes Johnny and Susie, you know, 10 or 15 minutes to meander their way through, stopping at the locker, chatting with friends, whatever, or they ran late because of cleanup, whatever the case is. And inevitably you're waiting for your child, even though you were there right on time. So, you know, perhaps we gear it to, you know, the extracurricular activities, at least from an initial standpoint. And that might be, maybe received a little better and a little more palatable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when we're talking about how we're going to be kind of, let me come up with the right word on this. Inconveniencing parents who are picking up. But then we're talking about teachers having to add it to the curriculum and do a, you know, a design thing. The art teachers are going to have to come up with some kind of design thing and all of that. Right now with COVID and, you know, doubling down over at Noah Wallace and all the things that are happening, it just seems like just one more thing for them, which frankly, I think I'd be more concerned about that than pissing off a parent who doesn't want to turn their car off. So
We can direct the calls to you.
yeah, I'm happy. Honestly, you know, maybe we go back to where we were before and, you know, we get an article out, one in the town newsletter about the effects of idling and what it all means. And then we also do Friday folder kind of like infomercials about idling and, you know, its effects on the health of the inhabitant, you know, people in that building and people around it. And then, you know, like you said, Sam, you know, then the signs can be, I don't know, if the art teachers would be open to trying to get students to design them, or there could be some kind of a contest that happens in schools to design something. But in the meantime, we've started the education piece of this.
Yeah. I like that approach, Kate. I mean, I will say there's a lot of different sign options out there. Yeah, I even just Googled the other day anti-idling signs and came up with young lungs at work, or, you know, pictures of children coughing by car exhaust. I said, all right, that's a little complicated, but
yeah.
So I agree with you that I think this sounds like adding this to teachers' plate. I think that's, you said it more directly than I did about asking, how do we get the teachers to do this? I think it seems like a lot to add to teachers' plate right now, but I like the newsletter idea. So at least starting to get some information out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then getting the signs for the loading docks that are necessary. I mean, aren't you supposed to have those, period? I mean, isn't that the law?
You know, I thought it was because I've always
Not?
seen them there. It's actually not
Oh,
part of the
wow.
law, but I don't have any issue with it. A lot, those areas are close to the buildings. It's usually diesel vehicles that are there. So I don't have any issue with, you know, doing that. Actually, the sign that I'm looking at from DEP isn't even, yeah, it just says idling of vehicles is prohibited, 3-minute limit per Connecticut deep regulation. So, which is fine as well. I think we can do that. We can certainly, actually, hopefully the sign that has the spelling error is already down because I asked for that to come down. We can certainly replace that one. And then I can work on getting them in service area locations that are, you know, and then we can go forward looking at the parent pickup lines and those sort of things later.
Well, when I speak with this woman from DEEP about the books and all of what that is, shall I ask her about the signs and whether that's still an option to get free signs?
Might as well.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
how many would you need, Sam, for those loading docks
It
total?
says on
Well,
Deep,
be
I
one
said-
per school if we can do it. So 7.
Yeah, Deep says 2 free signs per town.
Oh, that's it? Oh, okay, I didn't see
Oh,
that.
that's all right. Well, whatever. Ask you, right?
Hey, 2 free
Hey,
It can't hurt
signs.
to ask.
Oh, sorry, no, 2 free per school is what this page says. So
Oh, cool, okay.
Awesome.
there we go.
Well, you know what? I'll just go for all of them, and you know what, if we can use them in different places, you know, not just the loading area, you know, until we get a sign design that appeals to the masses, then, yeah.
You could be very persuasive, so I'm sure you, if anyone can get these signs from Deep, you can. I have no doubt.
Hey,
Thanks,
I just
Shannon.
posted the link with the instructions
Okay,
that Deep has, but the request form doesn't open. It appears to be a dead link.
okay. I'll get
So
to the
there's a
bottom.
request.
Mikey.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that link works, but within the link I sent, there's a request form and that's a dead link.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they stopped that.
But there is an email address too. So if the woman that you speak with doesn't know, there's another person in here to contact.
Okay, and you said you emailed that to me or you sent
I
it to
put it
me?
in the chat.
Chat.
now. Yep.
Oh, great. Thank you.
All right, well, so we can write something up for the newsletter, Shannon, you circulated.
Right, so they were in, I was in the email and then it was in that's what I was just
Yeah.
checking. So posting deadlines for winter is roughly mid-January, published mid-February.
Mhm.
And you folks understand with it being organically, I say organically done, but it's driven by staff at the town. Until it gets queued up in the cycle, I don't know. It could be anywhere from from January 10th to January 16th, right? And published anywhere again from February 10th to February 16th. So this spring one is always in sync with town budget and town voting and things that have to be done for our spring elections.
And that looks like
That's
it's full.
yeah, so but we can get it. I mean, they always, because they add extra pages in on some of these, so I've never had someone say no, we can't put an article in, because I've got ones I've got to do for MS4 and for what, from like environmental related but different, with the stormwater and wetlands and things like that. And they are quite creative. So
Do you know?
so
Oh, sorry.
go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
I was just wondering length because there's just so much, just to give me a sense, I've been collecting all.
I would I'd say like if you're looking at an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, like an 1/8 to a 1/6, and if you want a little graphic in there, maybe a quarter, probably not more than a quarter.
Not a
you could probably get a quarter. We could team it up with the MS4, because I've got to have an MS4 article in there with a little graphic. You can include a link for additional information, is sometimes really helpful.
Okay. Great.
So the old newsletters are online, Kate, which might give you, let's see if I can find these here while we're chit-chatting.
Yeah, you sent those, you sent us, they were attached to.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I mean, the
The email
town,
that you
like
sent,
the town newsletter as opposed to the Green Efforts newsletter
Okay.
is what I was, sorry, was what I was referring to. So, which I think,
I've found some of them before, but not always all of them.
There it is at the bottom.
thank you. I'm looking for N for newsletter, of course. So they're there. So you can scroll through and
Okay.
we don't have to do that now, but you can scroll through and get an idea as to
Sure.
how they allocate space for a variety of things. But you'll see my MS4 and some of the wetlands ones, and
Okay.
there's been larger ones when we've been rolling out the simple recycling, the textile recycling. So she's pretty, Diane Becker is really creative and really talented to get this all pulled together. So
Great.
yep,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome. I might pass by what I've written to you, Patty.
Absolutely.
Okay. Not quite yet, though.
So, all right, so then the next item is the sustainable CT goals, our action items. I think, given that there's only three voting members of the committee here, I think it probably makes sense to tee this up for January to have it move forward. One thing I do want to update folks on is on the municipal composting item. I was contacted by a woman named Kristen Spulte. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She lives in the Highlands. Apparently she's getting her master's right now. And she presented as part of her master's program on municipal composting, and she would like Farmington to develop a municipal composting program, and she'd like to come present to Green Efforts about what she's learned so far, to try to convince us to move forward. But she was very excited to see we had it as a potential action item for next year. And because Stacy was going to reach out to Blue Earth Composting about potentially presenting to us, my suggestion to Kristen was, if we get you both done the same day, we can have a composting meeting. So, but she sounds like she would be eager to get something started, and she's also interested in potentially a seat on the committee as well. So, so that would, if both Tim and Kristen join, that would give us fill 2 vacancies. I would be very happy. So, but she put together a lot of the information she had in her presentation, and I'll circulate it to the group, was focused on the statistics of food waste. And so things that I think this committee is probably fairly familiar with already, but I also thought it would be a good jumping off point if we did a public education type event too, because she's already prepared the slides. So, but other than that, I don't think I have really anything to discuss from, and unless anyone else has anything they want to say about the goals that we discussed last time. For Tim's benefit, we had talked about trash reduction, land and natural resource projects, inclusive community impact, or sorry, inclusive community projects, trash education, reduce, reuse, recycle, but the focus on reduce and reuse given the recycling quagmire. Partnering with the Racial Equity Committee to discuss social and environmental justice implications, especially with trash removal issues. Car charging station is a very discrete project, and then the municipal composting. So, and the goal for now January will be to come up with achievable action items. We tend to dream big on this committee, but finding those actionable items that we can all have time to put in and do the work would be great. So, so that we can move, unless, does anyone have anything else they would like to add or say on that? All right.
No, I just think, Patty, like, I think to the point that was made last month, the interests are very broad and varied. So I'm not really, yeah, I definitely think it would make more sense to have the entire group on for that discussion, but I'm a little unclear on how we'll get to one, like what, or just a couple maybe that make it more feasible for momentum and traction. Just want to put that out there, I guess.
Yeah, so as Kate and Shannon know, before I joined the committee, and probably for the first 6 months or year or so that I was on it, the agenda had several categories, and there were ongoing actions in each of the categories. So solar panels there was a whole number of things that were addressed, and I think I met with Shannon and looked at it and said, oh, we can't accomplish all of this. We don't have enough people. So we looked at what we've been doing, and I not unilaterally, but a little bit of push to say, we can't do all this. Here are the 2 things on here that I think we can accomplish. One of them was simple recycling. The other, and then we tried to figure, and then we worked a lot on public education. We tried to get stuff into the schools, and worked with restaurants and businesses too. So yes, we do tend to have varied interests, and trying to narrow that down gets harder. I think in some ways it can probably be done. For example, a car charging station is very discreet. It hopefully wouldn't take a lot of committee time, a lot of, it's coordinating, it's figuring out those activities. So I think most likely coming up with some discrete items, and then maybe one more broad project, but is going to be the best way to try to actually accomplish something. So,
Yep, I'd agree. It's gonna take a little push and pull in January, but I
mhm.
think we can get there.
All right, well, the next item on the agenda is the simple recycling update. Do we have anything, Shannon?
Yeah, I don't have anything new because I think I had totals. I'm looking here. I think I had totals through
For
October
Yeah.
and I didn't reach out. I generally get them every other month or quarterly. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I was really excited to see that they had bounced back up. Now that we've switched how the pickup is going, and it seems to be going really well for simple recycling too, which is good. I mean, it's got to work on both ends, right? So that's a positive. I'm still floored that 2 years into it, Farmington has 2 tons of clothing recycling, and that's just simple recycling. I mean, I know for me, I do big brothers, big sisters, because I like the tax write-off. Some people want the tax write-off, some don't. So that's just simple recycling. There's people that are still doing other stuff with their textile recycling. That is, I don't know. It's crazy to me, but hopefully it's truly getting reused and repurposed, whether it's in car seat stuffing or a chair, office furniture stuffing, whatever, that it's actually hitting repurposing, which is, it's good to think that that's happening.
It is. And I'm members of some Facebook groups with folks from around the country who say, what do I do with my old ratty towels? I'm like, oh, textile recycling. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's great to have it. So,
It is. It is. Yeah.
Can I back up just for a second for the compost idea? One of the things last year we collaborated with the Land Trust and did the regenerative farming lecture. Green Efforts was given credit for being part of the planning of that. And I'm just wondering, could we collaborate again and do, when we have this woman come and she's going to give a lecture about composting, and then we get, say, Blue Earth to do a little thing. Could that be, I don't know, could that be something that we get out to the public and do like an invite, like we're doing a talk about? Could the meeting be something that becomes a bigger thing, like that people could join in the meeting, right? That we could use it as an opportunity for people to come on and learn about composting, but also kind of, I don't know.
yeah.
I was just gonna say, do we want to maybe just do an intro meeting? Because we've never even met Kristen before.
We don't know anything about it. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm
Thanks.
just thinking maybe do an intro meeting, hear what they have to say,
Yeah.
and then figure out how to construct an educational meeting using both entities, and assuming Kristen would like to present her information
Mhm.
in that type of platform too. So, but yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but a good point, Shannon. We need to vet her first, so.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think focus, what that message is that we're going to send out to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think part of that too could be that intro meeting with Blue Earth is if we can enter into a partnership that, if there's a partnership with Blue Earth in some way, that follow-up meeting can include more information too about how the residents can take next steps. Because I think Kristen's presentation is very much on, this is why. It's the why behind why you should compost. And there's some information about what you can do, but it's really the why. And if we can then have Blue Earth step in and say, and this is how you do it.
Right. Right. It's a nice
Right.
combo.
Because I've tried backyard composting. I have failed. People say it's easy. No, I apparently cannot get the mixture of the browns and greens right. And no, doesn't happen. So.
Well, and I think you need a decent amount of area.
Yep.
We have it in ours, but it's behind a retaining wall. We've got 3 bins, and if it's not quite doing its thing, it's not bothering anybody.
Right.
But and when you think about all the folks that are on, half-acre lots or smaller, it's really tough to do that. So, yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah, and I think, and one thing too, staying on this for a moment to consider in January will be, where do we have folks that are willing to help us get information out, presentations done, who, in terms of laboring, or, and if Blue Earth and Kristen are very interested, then we might have some built-in, some stuff that's already done, so it takes some of the load off of us.
Mhm.
All right, then I guess we're into the other items. Any, Kate, I know Stacy's not here. Do you have anything to add on cleanup day? I think you said you guys were gonna start after January 1, right?
Yeah, we haven't really started yet, so nothing to report on that.
Holiday best practices. Shannon, you recirculated what we wrote 2 years ago.
Correct. So if you folks think you want to take any part of that, there are email blasts. Excuse me. Email blasts going out. There's Rose's Explore Farmington. There's various Facebook pages that we have access to from the town platform, and obviously just our own Green Efforts Facebook page. But Diane Becker, our communications specialist, would be happy to take, a revamped snippet that's, I guess, social media ready, as opposed to news article, right? That, she'd be happy to help get that blasted out if that's something that we think we want to do. And, rework.
Yeah, I have it opened with, and right now I'm looking at the holiday recycling, the one that's outlined in the holly leaves.
Mhm.
Could we do something just like there's, I think, maybe 8 bullets there, taking each of those bullets and calling it holiday recycling tip of the day? And put it on Facebook?
Hmm.
And then
Oh,
have, 8 Facebook posts?
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
And it's not really rewriting. I think most of those can probably just be put in. There's the one on the holiday light string recycling. There's a link there. I don't know if that is still a valid link. So anything that's a link, we'd probably still have to make sure that it was.
Certainly. Right.
But
Oh, absolutely. I can check in because Diane had checked in with me, but I hadn't, and this was just either last Friday or Monday. My days are all blurring. I think like everybody else's are too. But I can check in. I'm pretty sure she had checked in with me, and I just need to follow up with her to see format, timing, and that kind of thing. So I can have a chat with her to see what we can do and how much she can do versus how much she needs us to do. She may just be able to go with it.
Okay.
Which would be great.
I know Tim had some ideas I think he may have wanted to share. I don't know if you want to do that, Tim, or not.
Yeah, I'd love to. I don't want to take much more time, but I'm very interested in the town's use of chemicals, specifically on the town golf course and on the highways. I've been shocked in the past where the highway department has used defoliants, if you will, on the roadsides. And as we all know, those chemicals go into the water stream. So I would like to contact, I'll do it for myself, my own purposes. I'll contact the guys over at the golf course, because I speak that language a little bit, and ask them what they're using and what they, think is possible. And then I'd like to report back to you on that.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
As someone who, leaves my leaves on my grass and mulches them and doesn't spray anything and look at all my neighbors with their yards and say, yep, yours is green and all one type of green grass. Mine is green. There's a lot of different things in there and you would call them weeds and I say it's green.
I've noticed, because I don't put anything on my lawns, that I have what I call lightning bugs or fireflies in the summertime. And most of my neighbors, they don't have them because they can't thrive in that environment of those chemicals.
Mhm.
I like my lightning bugs.
Yeah.
All right, that's an idea. Anything else, Tim? I like it.
Yeah, this is a little radical. I've pitched this to Kate and my wife, Francie Brown Holmes. As we were talking earlier, everybody's dropping their kids off at school for all the right reasons. What if the schools and or the town gave parents the option to waive their child's use of the bus system for months at a time, allowing, longer bus trips, fewer buses in the system? I mean, it's a little bit of a radical idea, obviously take a lot of coordination, but I think it's worth at least discussing. It's a way to cut down on why should all those school buses be out there if everybody's taking their kids in their car?
So I'm not the transportation person, but I can speak to
I
that
am.
a little
I
bit.
was a transportation officer. I was a transportation officer in the Army, actually.
Okay. So we are mandated to have the seat available for every student. When we've had the situations that we've had this year, there is an opt-out form that did go out to everyone. I don't think we got a lot of response back, but that was an initiative this year, particularly when we had to consolidate routes to be able to deal with all the shortages and drivers and everything else that we've had. So we're always looking to reduce the number of buses that we have on the road, because each one is a significant cost that's that we're watching. But I can't speak specifically about it, but I do know that that opt-out form did go out this year in particular and was reinforced a few times this year. But I don't think there were a lot of parents that did opt out on that.
Yeah, it might be an education issue, more education, more emphasis.
I do, speaking from my own, I didn't opt out because, and I emailed Alicia about it at the time saying, well, I don't know if my kid's going to have a parking pass both semesters because she's a junior. So I can't opt out, because if she doesn't get a parking pass, she needs the bus. So yeah. So I think there's probably other parents out there who are also saying, but I might need the bus. And if I opt out, how does my kid get to school? So yeah. But I do appreciate that there are many parents who definitely never put their children on the bus. So.
They're the ones that are idling outside of the school.
And there's,
I'm gonna get them. No.
there's Suburbans and there's Yukons.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's not profiling. That's not profiling.
No, I'm just,
Oh. Okay.
All right, does anyone have anything else? All right, well, there will not be a motion to adjourn because we cannot vote. So thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has an enjoyable rest of the year. Happy New Year, and I'll see everyone in January.
Same to you.
Yeah, have a great holiday, everybody.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.